Hi, for Module 6, I chose to do an erosion activity that I found through the National Science Digital Library through Teach Engineering. This lab or this activity would be set up in stations that the students would rotate through to get some hands-on experience with chemical, wind, and glacier erosion. So the first station I have is chemical erosion, and you would need limestone, calcite, an eyedropper, and a weak acid such as vinegar or lemon juice, and I chose to use vinegar for this one. And simply, this is very simple, you just take the eyedropper filled with your acid and you drop it on each type of rock. When I dropped it on the limestone, nothing really seemed to happen. However, when I put it on the calcite, if you listened, you could hear it bubbling and fizzing, and that there was a chemical reaction occurring there. The next one is very simple, wind erosion. I have a pile of sand there. And in this station, students would see how wind erosion slowly wears away at the rock or at the pile of sand, making it smaller. And the final one is glacier erosion, which involved using modeling clay, sand, and ice. And this one, you kind of left the ice on top of the modeling clay for a minute, and then you would look at the clay to see how that was affected. Then when you added the sand, you were not only looking at how the clay was affected, but more so how the ice cube was affected. So it's kind of hard to see in this bottom picture here on the left, but the ice cube actually had a huge divot in it right here, where it was resting on the sand and on the modeling clay. Now, while these stations aren't high-tech by any means, they're very, very simple to set up and to facilitate for the students. It's nice to be able to have that hands-on experience with what is happening in nature every day. So as I was going through this lab, not only when I was reading about it for my portfolio, but also when I was completing the lab, you know, a lot of my thinking was, wow, this isn't really, you know, a high inquiry activity. You know, the students aren't creating anything. The students aren't necessarily testing something just to improve it and then retest it. They're not making any designs. But these types of activities, like this erosion lab, are important in the classroom because they still do go along with the STEM practices. You know, there are still many STEM careers out there that deal with the effects of erosion. So it is broadening their horizons to different aspects of STEM and of science. And it does force them to ask themselves questions, which is what inquiry is all about. You know, why is this happening? How can it be prevented? Is it bad? Are there any benefits to it? You know, so they can kind of see what's going on in nature without actually seeing a glacier or going to a desert and seeing how sand dunes are affected by wind erosion. They can see it right in front of them, and then they can ask those bigger questions about the world around them. So I think that those are also important skills within a STEM activity or within a science inquiry activity. I've also attached the worksheets that go along with this, as well as a modified version where I changed up the questions just a little bit. Let me know in the comments if you have any questions. Thanks.